It was dark on the highway. It was night, so of course it would be dark. But it was darker than what Greg thought it would be. The little spotlight mounted on the front of his bike didn't seem to cut into the blackness at all. Actually, now that he noticed, it seemed to be getting slightly darker as the minutes passed, despite it being just a little after midnight. Suddenly, Greg had a terrifying thought. Maybe he was about to pass out from the wound he just sustained. He looked down to see blood dripping onto his pants from the slice that pierced through his shirt and skin. Suddenly, a horrible image of the grotesque monster that gave him that wound flashed across his mind. He blocked that out of his head quickly. He didn't need to imagine what the creatures looked like. If he wanted to see them, all he needed to do was turn around. His feet were starting to ache from the long stretch of highway, but Greg knew he couldn't risk slowing down, even for a second, for fear of the swift creatures chasing him. His only hope for survival was the distantly bright light of a car that he had been trying to intercept. He thought maybe a car would outrun the terrifying monstrosities that were currently gaining on him. Greg, realizing he could almost make it, pedaled faster and faster. Despite the pain and aches, he could almost get the driver's attention, but he could also hear the monstrosities right behind his tail. Greg always had a wild imagination, but he was not imagining the black and red blur that was slowly making its way across the corner of his right eye. Nor was he dreaming about the disturbingly close snarls and grunts he exerted from the creatures. He knew they were too close for him to stop and get into the car. The only thing he quickly could think of was jump onto the roof of the targeted car. It was a crazy and stupid idea, but he didn't have any other choice. He sped up until he reached a point where it was safe enough for him to stand on his bike. But as he moved his foot to stand, he caught on the chain and the bike tipped and fell, dumping him onto the pavement with a heavy smack, and he started rolling towards the car in a fetal position. But before Greg got hit by the car, before he had even begun to slow down, two pairs of talons grabbed him and swept him off of the highway into the night, leaving behind only his bike.